Yeah, now it's 12:01, so I'll go ahead and get started. And we have these monthly EndNote trainings. Uh, the ones for the spring semester will be up soon, but yes, hi, I'm Ansley Stewart. I'm one of the clinical librarians at Kornhauser. And we're just gonna go over basically how to get started with EndNote. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to unmute yourself and ask them. But I will start out on the library's homepage here, in case people don't know where to download EndNote. So kind of go over EndNote in three parts. Part one being how do you get references into your EndNote library? Part two, how do you best use your EndNote desktop app? And then part three is how do you get the references and citations into your Word document? But kind of before all that starts, like show people if they need a refresher or kind of our home hub is the Kornhauser Health Sciences Library homepage here. And if you click on services and go down to EndNote training, see the other workshops that we have, and then also download EndNote desktop here. And if you click on U of L's web store, it takes you through the process. So for U of L members, you also get Microsoft and other programs. So go over to EndNote. You'll select EndNote 21 since that's the most recent version, and that's the version we'll be going over today. You click add to cart, and then you just continue as if you're checking out. Of course, it'll be free to you as a university member. And then you'll just do the standard download the app to your desktop. If you have any issues, once you've downloaded it and if there's any issues with it actually opening for you on your desktop, you'll have to speak with IT about the matter, because they are the ones that buy the licensing for it. But once you have it up and running, if you have any questions about how to use it, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to help with that. So
Thank you.
now that we have done that, show you quickly. So this is what my EndNote looks like currently. I've got, a number of references from over the years. It used to be in older iterations of EndNote if you want to share references with people or share your EndNote library. So EndNote calls their individual files libraries. So if I'm saying library, I just mean EndNote library. You had to share your entire, if you wanted to share it with someone else, if you're working on a paper with them or what have you, you would have to share your entire library with them. Now, thankfully, you can just share individual groups. So most people work out of a singular library and it makes things a little easier with organization. But I'm going to start a new library so that you can see what that looks like. So let's go ahead. Title is December. I don't recommend saving it as a package. It's just something that's an option if you're using Apple software, if you're using a Mac. But if you're trying to share with other people, usually kind of gets a little messy. So basically saving as a package means it kind of combines your EndNote library and your data folder, which I'll go over a little further into the webinar here, as one entity. But like I said, I don't really recommend that because it kind of can make things a little weird if you're trying to share it with other people, if you're trying to share your library with other people. The important thing to know though is wherever you save your EndNote library, make sure you're saving it to your actual hard drive. So I usually just save mine in my documents folder on my computer. But make sure you're not saving it to a cloud system and not saving it to a network drive, because if you do so, it won't happen immediately, but your files will become corrupted and EndNote won't be able to open them and view them. And there's nothing myself or people who work for EndNote can do to save those files. You would just have to go back to an old copy or redo your references. So let me exit out of that. So new EndNote library here, what you would see opening up when you're opening up for the first time. And that's great, but now we'll need to get references in there. So So I usually recommend, actually, let me go back right quick. So there is a way to download references within the EndNote app itself, the EndNote desktop app itself. And you can see it here online search. So like Library of Congress and PubMed and what have you. You can search through those databases, but it's pretty strict in how it allows you to search in terms of, if you're putting in, I really only recommend this if you already know exactly the reference that you want, and the exact citation, you already have the exact citation, because if you are trying to just do a general subject search, it's not reproducible, and it's not as user-friendly as if you were to go to the actual database. And then even if you have the citation, if you put in, an initial wrong, or you don't capitalize something where it needs to be, it may not be finding what you want to find. So I really only recommend using the internal EndNote search if you already know exactly the exact article or reference that you're looking to integrate. It's not good for a subject search. So that's why I open up these trainings on the Kornhauser Health Sciences Library homepage, because I just show people how to download references from the actual databases. So starting on the homepage, going to resources, we'll start with PubMed here. And let's just do a general search of lung cancer. We'll click on the first one and say, hey, that looks great. We want to save it for EndNote. So you would just click send to citation manager, create file, and then it downloads to your browser. And I need to move that out of the way. When it downloads to your browser, you'll click it open, and then it automatically imports itself into your EndNote library. So
Got it.
sorry, hold on. Let me do that again. There we go. If you've downloaded EndNote to a new computer that doesn't already have a pathway set up in terms of where you want the downloads to go, because it'll ask you for the first time. Obviously, when it comes up with where do you want this to download to, you'll obviously select EndNote. And then from there, it'll automatically download those files to EndNote when you click on them from your browser. So that being PubMed, you have the option on PubMed to select multiple references as well. So if you just click on the little check boxes here, and you click send to, same thing, citation manager, create file. It still creates a singular file for the 5 different references. When you click on your downloads, if you double click it, and then it downloads into your EndNote library, or uploads into your EndNote library. So that's how you get references from PubMed. Again, just send to citation manager, click the file when it downloads to your browser, then upload to EndNote. For EBSCOhost databases, and whoops, sorry, the bar is getting in the way. Oh, right. Some of them, of course, require doing off-campus login. Oops. There we go. So by EBSCOhost databases, basically, if it has this layout to it,
Okay.
it can be a number of the different databases that we have, for instance. So a listing of the different EBSCOhost databases that we have. I'm not sure if you use any of them or not. But they all have pretty much the same beginner interface here. So if they do, then how to get references from them would be, do your search. And then when you click whichever one you want to add, you can do cite over here, and you'll want to do export citation, and you'll want to click the very bottom one. And I know it says right here, export to EndNote web, but that's the web account, which is a little different. Instead, you'll want to click on export in RS format, and it even says right here, EndNote. So this is the one you'll want to click on.
Mm.
And then it does the same thing as PubMed did, which is download. Oop. Let me try that again. There we go.
Mm.
And then uploads to your EndNote, same as PubMed.
Mhm.
And so again, that one is you'll click on the tools, click cite, export citation, and then click export in RS format to save it to your EndNote desktop. And then for if you ever use Google Scholar, I also like to show this one to folks because unfortunately it's not as is you have to go into the settings and do so. So if we do lung cancer here, currently we don't have a link to click on to go into to download to EndNote. So what you have to do is go into settings,
Okay.
and select the very bottom and say show links to import citations into, click on EndNote in the drop down there and click save. So
Okay.
that way it now has the link to import into EndNote.
Oh.
And same thing as the other databases, when it downloads to your browser, you can click on it and then it uploads into EndNote here.
Mm.
So that's pretty much it in terms of externally getting references into EndNote. We'll move on. Of course, not every reference that you find or want to add is you're going to be able to find online.
Okay.
It's pretty good for journal articles and whatnot, but it's not as great for books. We do have some in our library catalog that you can just download the citation information for, the reference for. But there's also, you're never really going to find one for a website or what have you. So you always have the option of creating your own reference in your EndNote library, and you can do so
Right.
with a little kind of clipboard icon here with the little plus symbol, and when you hover over it, it says add a new reference. So when you do that, it opens up a new window that looks like this.
Mhm.
And you'll select which reference type you want to add. And of course, they have a lot of different options, dictionary, films, government documents, patents, what have you. At the very bottom is web page for if you want to add in a website. But I'm just gonna create a fake book reference here. So
Right.
using myself. It'll take as little information as you give it, as little citation information as you give it to create a reference.
Mhm.
But obviously you want to try and fill out as much information as you can, depending on what citation style you're using for your project. They obviously require different things. So and then when you're done filling out all the citation information for your reference, click save. And then you will exit out of that window and it brings you back to your main EndNote library here with your new reference that you created. And you can even see if you put in enough information. For instance, this is what the citation would look like in Vancouver in the bottom corner here. You can also see what it would look like, if it were in APA style
Right. Right.
or what have you. So it kind of lets you know if you're on the right track for putting in the right information, or if you just want to, copy it and send it to someone. So that's pretty much it in terms of getting references into your EndNotes. That's kind of part one. Part 2 is how to best use your EndNote desktop app and get everything set up. Because as I said at the beginning, unfortunately, if you try and save your EndNote library to somewhere other than your actual hard drive, it's gonna mess up your references. And so EndNote, of course, has a way to get around that. I do recommend backing up your EndNote library to, an external hard drive every now and then,
Okay.
just as a safety precaution. But EndNote does have EndNote Web, which is their way of backing things up to a cloud system, but it's only compatible with their cloud system. So if you're using EndNote for the first time on your desktop, I think it now requires you to create an EndNote login. So I'm gonna walk you through that. So if you go to my endnoteweb.com, and you'll register if you haven't done so. So put in email address. It doesn't have to be your one affiliated with the university. If you don't want it to be, it can be your Gmail or what have you.
Mhm.
You'll obviously need to log in, and then in the future, if you ever end up calling the tech support line, they'll ask you what your email is so they can create a ticket for you. That's pretty much what you'll need it for. Obviously create a password and your name. And then it'll send you the whole email where you verify that yes, you meant to sign up for this. And once you've done that, come back to myendnoteweb.com and log in here. Uh, and so you'll register, you'll get the email, you'll click on the email to verify, you'll come in and log in to make sure that your account works. When you do that, it'll be blank for the first time.
Mhm.
But you'll want to do that, and then you'll want to go right back to your EndNote desktop and go to settings. So I'm not sure, are you using a Windows or a Mac operating
I
system?
am using a Windows at the moment.
Okay, so for Windows, because I don't know why it's a little different between the two, um, you'll go to File and it'll say Preferences. It's a little hard to show you because I'm using a Mac currently. So for me, I'm want to use the EndNote drop down and click on Settings for a Windows operating system. Right up here, you'll File will be the first drop down, and you'll click on that, and you'll click on Preferences. But it opens up the same window.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure why they labeled it differently, but and then you'll see this. It says EndNote Preferences here at this
Mhm.
window, and um, you'll click on Sync uh, on the bottom here, and you'll put in the same email address and password that you use to log into the EndNote web account.
Okay.
And that way, when you click save, um, that way it will be able to start syncing. So if you have any references already in your EndNote library, you'll click over, you'll, put in the same information, the same login information and sync and your preferences. You'll click save, then you'll come to sync configuration and click sync now. And that way it'll start syncing your EndNote library, your desktop EndNote library with your EndNote online account. So that way everything is backed up to their cloud system, in
Mhm.
case of emergency, if you lose anything. You're also able to just use EndNote online like you would the desktop app in terms of, inserting references into your paper and whatnot. There's a lot less um, options that you have with EndNote Online, but EndNote Online is always a free account for anyone. So if you're working with anyone on a project and you want to share a EndNote library with them, you can do so. They can create an EndNote Online account, and that way you can share things because the desktop app is the one that costs money. Obviously, the university pays for it
Mhm.
for our university members, but I'm just saying, if you work with someone in a different institution and they don't have EndNote through their institution and they don't want to pay for it themselves, they can just use the EndNote online account, and that way you two can collaborate through EndNote still as well. So it's there's more benefits to it than just having it back up your references to a cloud system. So that is, once you're able to, I recommend going ahead and getting the online account set up and having everything backed up and synced together, so that way you have that setting ready to go. The other setting that we're gonna go ahead and get started with is I'm gonna go back to our EndNote training page. So I'm just gonna click on this because my drop down is getting in the way. So where it says find full text, you'll want to click on that, and I'm going to copy this URL here and come back to your EndNote preferences and go to find full text. So you'll want to put in the corresponding URLs here for under find full text, and they're again on the EndNote training page. So in open URL path, you'll put in worldcat.org URL, and then in the URL box, you'll put in the login.echo.louisville URL here. And these are because when you use the find full text feature on EndNote, which is backing up a little bit, the references that we currently have in EndNote are just the reference information. They're just the citation information. They're not the corresponding PDFs or the full text of our references. And to change that, EndNote has a really handy find full text tool, which is labeled as find full text. But unless you affiliate it with an institution that has, that pays to be these journal memberships or to certain catalogs, it's only gonna pull the full text that is open access. So that's why we always encourage people to set up their settings or EndNote preferences in this way, to add in these two URLs. That way you have access when you ask it to find full text. It also searches through the catalog that the university subscribes to through the libraries, and then the university proxy that says, yes, you have access to these subscriptions as a university member. So, you have access to the journal subscriptions that we pay to and the world catalog that we subscribe to as a university library, etc. So in a nutshell, it's basically allowing you to get more full text found for you, rather than you having to go in and hand out everything. So adding in these two links and doing, going ahead and click save in your preferences here. And then we can select which ones you would like to find full text for. So I just tell people to highlight which are ones I want to find full text for. You'll right click on the highlighted references and select the find full text tool right here in the middle. And it'll ask you to, sign in again, because one of the links you put in is the university proxy. So just verifying that you have access to these resources as a university member, and then it will start searching for find the full text that are possibly available. So it's not gonna find 100% of the full text that you ask it to, but it definitely helps, cut down on time of you having to go in and hand add the full text. Like I said, when you download the reference files, they're just the reference information. They're not the PDFs. So it definitely helps find information for you and saves you some time. And it usually takes a little bit of time. I let people know if it's probably about 10 seconds per reference that it takes to search for each. So if you have a number of references you're asking it to find at one time, that might be the time you go ahead and set your computer to start finding it, and you take a break or something for 20 minutes,
Right.
depending on how many references you're asking it to find. But now that it's done, so we can see it found PDFs of 4, it found the full text through URLs for 4, and then obviously it didn't find anything for the book that I completely made up. But you'll know if it has a PDF attachment because it'll have a little paperclip icon here.
Mhm.
And then for those that don't have an attachment, you can go in and hand add them, wherever you found the reference, or maybe someone emails you the PDF, or you get it from our library or what have you. And then you can click on the reference you want to add it to. And over at the top here, it says summary, edit, PDF. You'll click on PDF and then you'll just attach PDF, and it's like attaching any other document, like in an email or what have you. For the ones that are already attached, you can go ahead and make notes on them and view them in the EndNote window here. So you can already see this one, and then you have the option of, if you click on the little kind of square chat icon here, you can click on that for the toolbox, and you can add sticky notes, you can highlight text, you can underline things or strike through things. And if you make notes in that regard, like if I were to highlight a sentence, it'll just save that as a note for when I come back to it later. So if I click on that, it'll ask me if I click away, ask if I want to save it. And if I go look at something else and come back to it, it still saves the notes that you left on that PDF. So I think it's really handy because, you can have all of your notes in one place. You have your reference information here, and then the PDF that you can read through, and your notes with that PDF all in one place. That's really
Mhm.
one of the reasons I really like EndNote, is that you just have all the information there in one place. As I was mentioning at the beginning, I'm going to my documents folder now to show you the EndNote library that we're working out of currently. So this December one. Also, when we created that EndNote library, it also created a data folder,
Mhm.
accompanying data folder of the same name. So now that I've started adding PDFs, this is where the PDFs are stored. So if you ever, change computers, or you're backing up your EndNote library to an external hard drive or what have you, you want to move these two together always, because the EndNote library is just the citation information for the references, and the data folder is the PDF attachments. So if you move just the EndNote library and you go and open it, you're not going to have the PDF attachments unless you have the data folder together with the EndNote library. And by together, I mean they need to be, in the same level of organization for whatever hard drive you have them on. So for me, they're in the same folder, my documents folder, or if you keep them on your desktop, make sure they're both on your desktop or what have you.
Okay, understood.
Um, and yeah, so, and like I said at the beginning, make sure you're saving them to an actual hard drive, whether that's your computers or an external hard drive, because using any other kind of cloud system or network drive, it's just not going to be compatible after a while to open the EndNote library and for them to read it. Okay, so the only other thing I really feel like I need to show you for the how to use EndNote, the desktop app, is if you want to share it with someone, if you're working, on a group project or what have you,
Mhm.
you can create, I really recommend creating groups, and groups are basically folders within the EndNote library. So if we create a lung cancer for this paper that we're supposedly writing, and you can just drag and drop things over, or if you want to highlight all of them, just drag and drop over here. Because it's a lot easier to share an EndNote group with someone than sharing your entire EndNote library. Well, I mean, there's the same level of easiness in how to do it, but sharing your EndNote library with someone means that they can also see your entire EndNote library or edit it. So if you wish to share the group, you have to have your your EndNote library already synced with your online account. So I'm actually gonna open up my main EndNote library and show you because I have already done so there. So if I were to share my diabetes group here, you just right click on that, share group, and then it'll come up with a little window. And you put in the email addresses for the people you want to share your EndNote library, your EndNote group with. They have to be the same emails that they have their EndNote online account in. And then you can offer them read and write permission, which means they can edit if there's any mistakes or what have you, that they can add in references, or read only, which is just view only. So if you're offering that to, I don't know, someone that you're working with who just wants to look it over, add a message as if it were an email, and then you click invite and they have to accept it on their end and open it. And yeah, you can do the same thing if you want to share your entire EndNote library. You would just go to file, share, and do the same thing, same window that comes up. It'll say the top of the window that comes up for sharing will say if it's a group though, so you know which one you're sharing. Oh, the only other thing, yes, one more thing. One of the other really nice tools in addition to find full text that EndNote has is a deduplication tool. So if you're, gathering a bunch of references from multiple databases, there's likely going to be some overlap of what the search results are that you download. So if you go to library and go to find duplicates, it'll come up with, hey, we found these two journal articles that were the same. Do you want to keep one and get rid of the other? And so you can say, keep this reference, whichever one you want to keep. Maybe you made notes on one of them compared to the other. You can skip it to keep both of them, but I always recommend people deduplicate before they start their projects because I've definitely seen people who include a citation in their paper and then they make, they have a duplicate of the paper in their EndNote library and they edit the other one but the citation in the paper is linked to the unedited reference in their library. And so it just gets very confusing rather quickly. So, just best practice, keep the reference, run the deduplication tool before starting your paper so that doesn't happen to you. And then it'll just move the duplicate over to trash, but it won't be an option when you're trying to find references for your paper in Word. Okay, that's pretty much it. So we'll move on to how to get references into your paper now, which is kind of the whole reason we use EndNote. Do you plan on using Microsoft Word or do you?
Microsoft Word, yeah.
Okay. You can now use EndNote in Google Docs. There's not as many options as if you were to use it on Word, but I can send you the link on how to do so if you would like it. But most people just use Microsoft Word. So
Google also be helpful as well because a lot of group projects require us to use Google Docs because everybody is like contributing. And I think if you can show me the link later on, whenever you have time. Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. So you can, when you first download EndNote to your computer, it's going to ask you to exit out of all Microsoft programs because it uploads itself here to Microsoft. So you'll see when you reopen Microsoft Word for the first time after downloading, it adds EndNote 21 to your toolbar up at the top here. So when you click on that, you can see insert citation over on the far left side. And you can do, there's two options. You can do insert citation, which is a little window that comes up and you can search for which citation you want to add, or you can do insert selected citation, which means in your EndNote desktop app, you select which one you want, and then you'll come back to your Word here, your Word program here, and select and choose insert selected citation. Either is fine, it's just whatever you're more comfortable with. So I selected, insert citation, and it comes up with this window here. You search for which citations you want to find in, these are already, obviously citations that are in your EndNote library that you've already included. And so you can just, scroll through here, say this one looks good, and click insert. And so puts the citation here, and then it starts adding your citations to the bibliography as well. So let's put this in APA format here. And then you can also just click, at any time, click a different style and it changes everything over for you, which is really nice. So to do what I was saying before, insert selected citation. So this was the citation that I already had selected in my EndNote library, and it puts it in as such. You can add in multiple citations if you would like. So if you do whichever way you prefer to add in your citations, whether it's the, insert citation or insert selected citation, you would just click on which one you would want. And then if you want to add in more than one, you would hold down your control button to, like you would for other, computer for doing multiple selection here. So just holding down my control button and do insert. So that way it adds in more than one citation there. But of course it puts it in the format as dictated by APA, so alphabetical by author's last name. And yeah, there's hundreds of different preset citation styles that you can use. So the one that you're looking for isn't part of the drop down. You can do select another style here, and you can browse through the 500 or so that are pre-selected. And even then, if the citation style you're looking for isn't in one of these 500, EndNote Online, the EndNote website has, I don't know, over 3,000 different citation styles, because there's so many different journals that like to have their own citation style. So you can do that. So I wasn't sure which citation style you needed, but you can do one of those. The important thing to remember with adding in citations into your EndNote your actual Word document, is anytime you need to make an edit to the citations or the bibliography, make sure you are doing so through Edit and Manage Citations here. So it's the middle button right next to Insert Citation. So Edit and Manage Citations. You'll select which citation you need to edit. So for, let's say, this one right here, I don't want it to be a double citation, and I made that mistake. You just click Remove Citation and then click OK. So that way it removes it for you. Because if I were to just do, I'll show you, if I just hit delete, maybe I only wanted the bibliography, then it takes out the whole thing. Or I've also seen it do where if I hit delete on my keyboard, instead of going through edit manage citation, sometimes it comes back later, it'll repopulate weirdly enough. So point being, don't use keyboard strokes to try and edit the EndNote citations or the bibliography, because EndNote has a hard time trying to decipher what you're telling it. you always want to do edit manage citations instead. And if you just want to, update it so it says display as author or exclude year or show only a bibliography here. So you don't want it as an in-text citation, you just want it as a bibliography. You can do so, and that way it leaves it as is. And that is mostly it, I think. Yeah, are there any questions that you have?
Um, I have a question that if someone shares their bibliography with you,
Mhm.
and if I want to like uh, not keep that with me, so if
Mhm.
I remove that, will it somehow affect their bibliography? Like I don't accidentally want to remove their bibliography from their computer or data.
Right. So if someone shares a paper with you that they used EndNote with, like if they attach, their document to an email and send it to you, um, it's already disconnected from their EndNote, so it won't affect their EndNote on their end at all. Um, but if you're using Google Docs where you all are synced to it together, yes, if you edited the bibliography in the paper, then it would disturb what everyone else is seeing as well.
All right. No, my professor shared his bibliography, and it has
Mm.
like 47,000 references or something like that.
His EndNote library?
His general library.
Okay, okay.
He's got a huge list of references.
Uh-huh.
Like I think probably since he was a student himself or something. So I don't know, but that's taking a lot of space on my end, and I wanted to create my own library, and I
Mhm.
want to kind of like remove it, but I was too concerned about I might if I remove it, I was concerned that he might also uh, face some issues if I remove it. I was wondering if I can just remove it without any consequences.
Um, right, there shouldn't be an issue in terms of you just removing it from your computer. So he shared his entire EndNote library with you. You got the email and you accepted the EndNote library, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Um, so right, you can just not I'm trying to remember how to remove yourself from a shared EndNote library. I think it's on your EndNote Online account.
And an online account. Okay.
Um, so so if you go to manage my groups,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it should be
Oh,
no, sorry, this is my groups. Sorry, it's a little I can't really show it to you because I'm not currently connected to anyone else's EndNote library.
right,
I'll
right, right.
I'll message you the link on how to do so, how to remove yourself from
Right. Okay, no problem, no problem. We can discuss that. I do have a meeting with you on Thursday for meta-analysis, so I can,
Okay, yeah, I can just show you then how to do so.
yeah, I'll share my screen then as well.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else I can help with before we depart?
No, no, I don't have any questions. Just looking forward to meeting you on Thursday. And I'll send you my abstract as well. Sorry about that. I didn't do that because I was still editing that.
It's fine. Okay, well, I look forward to talking to you on Thursday then.